Hi everybody. It's 9:35. Casey, my daughter, just went to Brahms to buy some milk, and when she came home, the neighbor downstairs told her she better go back and buy water because our water is off in the building. I have no idea why. So I checked my faucets, and sure enough, it was running, but just barely, just very, very, very low pressure. But you know what? Remember about 80 videos back, I told you you should always have some water in case you need to flush the toilet? I clean with vinegar, and I use a lot of vinegar. And when a jug is empty, I fill it up with water and put it under my bathroom sink. I don't plan on drinking this because I didn't wash the vinegar out, but it'll be perfect for flushing the toilet. So you never know when something might happen with your water. Take whatever you've got and put some back for an emergency. As soon as Casey told me that, I put the trash can in the bathtub and filled it full, my mop bucket, another trash can, and I told Casey to do that too, and she says, oh, it's just barely coming out. I told her, I have 4 things full of water with it just barely coming out. You know, it's not going to hurt. Turn the faucet on and let it come out at whatever speed, but get some so you can flush the toilet. And then you might also get a clean container and put some water in the fridge. Anyway, if you don't have some extra water, think about it. And then, remember about 75 videos back, we had a discussion about straws and why I use plastic straws. Look what I got. I ordered these from Amazon. I gave some of them to Casey. They're silicone straws. They're great big. They came with 2 brushes, and there were 8 straws and 2 brushes for $6.99. So I'm tickled to death to have these. And I have another silicone straw because that cup Casey gave me for Mother's Day came with one too. So I am good on straws now. I don't watch the news. I don't turn my TV on unless it's PBS channel for my grandkids. I mean, I just don't watch, I don't even watch TV shows because the news things come on in between the TV shows. So I just don't turn it on because it really depresses me and makes me sad. My son lives in Seattle. Now, just to keep abreast of things that are going on there and have something to talk to him about, I check in with the Seattle Times newspaper every now and then. And if I see something interesting, you know, that he might like, some event or something, I tell him and we talk about things. Well, I found out on Sunday, I guess, about the riots in Seattle. So I called him and I told him he had to go to work on Monday in downtown Seattle. I told him I was scared to death for him to have to get on public transportation, not knowing who else is on there, because violent looters. Riots are taking place in Seattle. 7 blocks from where he works is where 4 police cars were set on fire. The newspaper article said it looked like a war zone. And that was Saturday night. I know today Seattle is, the I-5, which I guess is a big highway that goes through there, is closed because of the rioting tonight. It's the 6th day of rioting. You know what? It was absolutely horrible and senseless for that police officer to kill that man. George, I can't remember his last name. George should still be alive. That police officer committed murder, and it should never have happened. But two wrongs don't make a right. Doing all this rioting and looting and ruining businesses when the economy's already crazy. And I'm sure it's like that in every major city. But in Seattle, the news article was talking about all of the windows smashed and the merchandise just stolen. And that was on June 1st when they were going into the next phase and going to open up some stores. So people that have been out of work for 3 months were finally going to have a chance to go back to work. And then rioters and looters ruined that because they took away their business. They destroyed the businesses. Rioting and looting don't do a thing that's positive. I just don't understand it. I do not understand it. I just wish we could be kind to each other. I feel horrible for that man's family. I hope that that police officer gets whatever punishment he deserves. He committed a mighty wrong, but all over the country being set on fire and looted is not going to help a darn thing. Oh, it just really upsets me. Now, I live in a small city, about 200,000 people. I got to get out of the apartment the other day. Remember I told you Casey drove me out to Cadillac Ranch and I did that video? Well, we had to drive halfway through town to get on I-40 to go west out to where Cadillac Ranch is. And so I saw all kinds of things that I hadn't seen in, months and months and months. And I noticed this new fast food restaurant. And I saw the sign and I said, Casey, did you see that? I grew up in New Mexico. I was the minority. I was the only white girl in my class until I think it was 4th grade. Everybody else was Hispanic and one black girl. The black girl and I were best friends. But the Hispanic people were wonderful to me, for the most part. We were all just children. I went to the first grade of, then they didn't call it kindergarten in my town, they called it pre-first. I went to the first day of pre-first, came home and told my mother I was never going back again. All those kids spoke Spanish to me and I didn't know what they were saying and I didn't learn to read, so I wasn't going back. Hispanic people are just like any other race. There is a majority of them are the best people in the world. There are some that, have no spirit, are poor in spirit, make horrible decisions. But for the most part, they are a wonderful people. When I was going to school, there were 2 slurs if you wanted to be ugly to a Hispanic person. And back then, we had never heard Hispanic. I'm talking about in the 60s, in the early 60s. I started preschool in the 60s, and in 1960. There were 2 racial slurs that I haven't heard in a long time. One of them was beaner, in reference to pinto beans, which is a staple in New Mexico. There is an attorney here in my town that has put in a new drive-through fast food restaurant. He's going to sell burritos. And he put up a sign that said the Big Beaner. And it shows a pinto bean with a sombrero and a black mustache and wearing cowboy boots. And it's very offensive to me. And it has to be very offensive to every Hispanic person in this town. And he's an attorney. It's not like he's some stupid guy. In a time like this, when the world is, the United States is getting set on fire left and right, there are riots, businesses being ruined, people getting hurt, why on earth would anybody decide to open a restaurant and name it the Big Beaner? Here we have a Chamber of Commerce, and we have a Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. The president of the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce contacted him and asked him to please take that sign down, rename his restaurant anything else. And he said no, he had no intention of taking the sign down or changing the name. He didn't find it offensive. Why can't we just be kind to each other? Why can't we just try to walk in the other person's shoes for a little while and see what it might be like? In the Texas Panhandle and New Mexico, everybody knows that's a racial slur. Everybody knows that's a racial slur. And why would you open a business with that as a name? I don't know. I am about fed up with people. But I'm not fed up with you guys. I have you. I have the best community. I have the best community. There are about, I was writing the names down to make me feel better. I was writing down the good people that I know that are in contact with me. I have 3 columns, and then I started on the back side writing down names of people who have left a comment for me just in the last 2 weeks. That's about 100 people at least, because there are 27 lines, and I wrote way up in the top where there aren't lines in a piece of notebook paper. I am grateful for you because you make me believe there is good in the world. And I appreciate you leaving me comments. You make me feel better. I know you guys are wonderful people. I know you are. And I sure do appreciate your comments because it gives me some hope that good will win. And I know good wins. I know the ending of the whole story. In the end, good wins. But it sure is a difficult time right now. And through this difficult time, we don't need to be putting up racial slurs on restaurant signs. That's just horrible. The one good thing about it is, in the city where I live, 90% of the restaurants fail the first year. We have a heavy Hispanic population. The odds of his burrito fast food place surviving a year are pretty darn slim between the racial slur, the economy, and all of the good people that live here who would not dare walk into his door and give him money. And he's an attorney. Okay, I'm going to stop ranting. But I sure am glad I have you guys because you leave me nice compliments, nice comments, nice messages. So I know that there are more good people out there than not. I'm going to go. I'm fine. But all of y'all, call somebody and say something kind to somebody. Just call one person and say something kind to them. Oh, while I'm on my rant, if you did not watch Stephen Gardner today, please go watch him today. He wrote a letter to President Trump. And on his channel today, he read this letter that he sent. It is the most heartfelt, eloquent, powerful, wonderful letter I have ever heard. I don't know how to do it because I do everything on my cell phone, but I'm going to figure it out. And I'm going to send a copy of that video of him reading this letter to my congressman, senator, major networks. I am going to send it with him. I hope everybody that is in his community, which is like, I don't know, seems like it's like 250,000 people. I hope they all flood every political person they can with this letter. But if nothing else, you guys go read it. It is the most eloquent, heartfelt, honest, non-offensive letter. His name is Stephen Gardner. Stephen with a PH. He's a really nice guy. I don't know him personally, but I know he's a really nice man, an honorable man. Okay. Talk to you tomorrow. I'll try to be happy. Thank you guys. I really appreciate you.